Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be going over the 11-game NBA slates we have on DraftKings today. 100K to first, so a good amount of money to be won. I'll be going over my best pay-up options, mid-range options, and value plays that you guys should be looking at for today's 11-game slate. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll be going over my core plays. As always, guys, follow me on Twitter, HartDFS. I'll be putting up my NFL plays, PGA plays, NBA plays, PrizePick plays, all that good stuff on my Twitter, HartDFS. Now let's get into this slate breakdown. As I kind of mentioned beginning of the video, this slate is looking like the first one where you're going to want to load up on those Spurs guys, the Rocket guys, and then if you want to pay up for some studs, you can, but I really think it's one of those things where those Houston guys, those Spurs guys, allows you to be able to pay up for those studs, or allows you to be able to pay up for just a solid mid-range lineup that has the ceiling to be able to take down the tournament. So once again, it's looking like that first slate where you can kind of put anyone into your lineup and they have that chance to get you there. Really do think you need to start with those Spurs and Rocket guys. So I'm going to be quickly going over my favorite plays from each position: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. Kind of giving you guys a group of players that you guys should be looking at to throw into your guys' lineups, depending on what way you want to go. So starting off, obviously Ja and Steph make for great pay-up options, especially if you're going to play a bunch of those Houston guys. Do think you can definitely run back with Ja. Hope that game stays close. If it does, all of them should be able to go off. Between Trey and DeJounte, I do prefer DeJounte just because he gets those steals. Dame should be very low-owned spin-up play. Just couldn't hit his shots. Still almost got you 40 fantasy points. Don't mind going there, but coming down into the 7K range, I'll mention Halliburton just because he has that high upside when it comes to scoring the ball and the assists. Did show the scoring last game, but not the assists. Do expect him to have a higher ceiling this year. Big news is if Jamal Murray's out, look to Bones Highland. He'll become the lock of the day at $4,000. Even if Jamal Murray, I think you can definitely look to Bones. Even if Jamal Murray's playing, I think that'll take some ownership off of Bones. Jamal Murray will probably be limited just because of that left knee injury management. He's got a groin injury he's coming off of, so do expect some limited minutes here for Jamal Murray. Can definitely look to Bones. But I think, as I said, those Rocket guys, Kevin Porter Jr., way too cheap, has the minutes, has the usage, can do a little bit of everything. So 7K for him going against Ja in a fast-paced matchup. Really, really, really like the Rocket guys. Another guy I'll mention is, where is he? Brogdon looks solid, 5,100. Going to see probably 25 to 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe less, depending on how he's playing. But he's that second ball handler off the bench for them. So he'll have the ball in his hands a lot, and he'll be able to get you those rebounds, assists. He looks pretty aggressive on the offensive end, so don't mind going there. Who else we got? I guess Monte Morris is worth a mention. He almost got you 30 fantasy points in 21 minutes. Not going to shoot the ball a ton, but he's going against the Bulls, so there is some upside there. Trey Jones, it looks like he's going to be splitting times with Joshua Primo, so I do prefer getting into Primo, who's cheaper, has more upside, a little bit better of a score, so you can definitely look to Trey Jones. He's going to be the starting point guard, but rather get to Joshua Primo, 4,900. Tyus Jones, as I said, he'll probably see more minutes this year. I do expect this to kind of be his... He'll kind of float around that 25-minute mark, but it's nice to see him shoot 16 times. I know that game did go to overtime, and he's playing a lot in that overtime, but he does have some upside, 4,900, especially in this matchup. As I said, Primo, my favorite guards play, 4,200. Way too cheap. Going to be floating around that 25-minute mark, maybe a little bit more. Do expect that number to go up as the season goes on. Shot it 11 times, didn't shoot it well. Still got you 21 fantasy points. A matchup you can't pass up against Indiana. Just a bad young team. So really like Primo, good amount. And then as I said, Bones Highland, you can definitely take a shot right now. Only saw 16 minutes. They just looked bad, Denver as a whole. So I don't really think you have to trust the minutes there. I think they'll go up as the season goes on. But especially if Jamal Murray's out, lock in Bones. But even if Jamal Murray's playing, do expect him to be limited. So you can definitely take a shot on Bones Highland, $4,000. Too cheap for him. Good young player. Shooting guard position. As I said, Murray looks decent. Beal looks pretty solid against the Bulls. His ceiling's a little bit limited just because he's pretty much just a scorer. He can't get you rebounds and assists, but really need him to go off for like 30, 35 actual points to be able to pay off that salary. Who else we got here? Ingram looks solid. I do think his ceiling's a little bit limited just because he obviously has Zion and CJ, but they all went off that last game against Brooklyn. Anthony Edwards looks pretty good, 7,800. Expect him to be the main guy on Minnesota. Shot at 4-17, but he has massive upside as we know. So going against Utah, don't mind going to Anthony Edwards. But as I said, my favorite plays are going to be those Rocket guys. Jalen Green, way too cheap. 32 minutes, 7 of 20. Came out, I think he had like 15 fantasy points in the first quarter, if not more. Only finished with 29, so he's a massive ceiling. He can just, get hot and cold at times. It's something you have to deal with, but just way too cheap there in that spot against Memphis. Simons has a good amount of usage, 5,900. I'll mention him. He's a solid pivot play off of like a Jalen Green who will be chalky. Who else am I going to mention? Vassell, another great play, 5,100. Played about 30 minutes, shot 3 of 15, so he's a high usage guy. Just couldn't hit the shots. Shot 0 of 8 from 3, so expect to bounce back here for Vassell. Another very solid play, 5,100 there. We'll mention Conchar as an okay play, 4,800. Not going to have the upside as like a Vassell or those other guys, but should see the minutes if Dillon Brooks is out. A guy who's going to get you the rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. I don't know if I can trust his scoring, so looks like a C play for me. I'd rather pay up for a guy like Vassell whose minutes are guaranteed and he's just a better scorer, has more usage. I think that does it for me for the shooting guard position. Small forwards, favorite plays. I don't think you have to get to Durant. Really think you can just pay down for guys who are cheaper. Tatum, they're almost like $2,000 cheaper. Tatum, DeRozan, Brown, and Edwards, and they all have the same usage, if not more. Same ceiling, so really don't think you have to pay up for Durant in this spot against Toronto. Pay up for Tatum, DeRozan, Brown. They all look solid. Edwards all look great as your pay up options, even though they're not even 9K. So as I said on the slate, really think you can throw in those mid range guys, pay up to the 8-9K range, and really have that good shot at taking it down, just like that first slate. So don't mind taking it under 9K, just spending up for these guys or spending less and going from there. RJ Barrett had a very, very bad game, 3 of 18, but ton of usage from him. 7,200 looks okay. Who else we got here? I mentioned Vassell. Radish more of like a boomer bust guy. Don't think you can trust those minutes. That does it for power or small forward. Not a ton. I really like that small forward position. Power forwards, don't mind paying up for Zion. I got a day of rest. Should see 30 plus minutes. Absolute beast. I don't know who's going to guard him on Charlotte. One of the worst teams in the league. No one's going to be able to stop him. So really like Zion is a nice solid spend up at 9,200. As I mentioned, Tatum, DeRozan all look great. Keldon Johnson, way too cheap. Main guy for the Spurs, as I said. 30 minutes, he went 8 of 17. Do expect him to shoot a little bit more. Do expect him to kind of be his median for the season. 20-11 has a double-double upside. Just a very, very solid game. 4 assists, 2 steals, 45 fantasy points. Going against Indiana. Really like Keldon Johnson once again. As I said, way too cheap. Nurkic, he ended up getting like benched in that second half. No idea, why. It was just interesting. He wasn't in foul trouble, just didn't look good. So do expect to bounce back here. He's a guy who has a massive ceiling, easy double-double upside. People are going to get scared to see the minutes. See, he just didn't play well at all. 6,100 price tag and not play him, but really think you can definitely play him at 6,100 and have that 30, 40, even 50 fantasy point upside easily with Nurkic. So like him a good amount there. I'll mention Al Horford. If you played him that last slate, everyone got screwed. The only thing that was going to take him down was the foul trouble, and they gave him such BS foul calls. It was so frustrating. But really think you can run it back here. He should see at least 30 minutes a game this season, with Robert Williams out. So not going to shoot a ton. He shot it pretty bad the last game, but I do expect around 10 shots a game from him. He can get you those blocks, steals, assists, rebounds. He just got screwed because of that foul trouble. Was just really out of rhythm, out of that game. So don't mind taking it, jumping back on the train there at 5,400 for Al Horford. He has a good amount of upside, as we saw last season in the playoffs. He could easily get you, 35, 40 plus fantasy points. So 5,400 looks pretty solid for him. It's Bam. Bam's not going to get him in foul trouble. Sengun's worth a mention, but he is splitting minutes, so I'd rather pay down for Bruno Fernando, who's getting the start. Santi Aldama, excuse me. Expect him to be around that 30-minute mark. He's going to be the starting power forward. Not going to shoot the ball a ton, kind of like a Conchar. Will shoot a ton of threes though. If he's hitting them, great. He has the double-double upside. I do think that's a little bit of an outlier. 40 fantasy points. That game did go to overtime. But 5,100 for a guy who's going to be seeing 30 minutes, a ton of threes, has double-double upside, so I don't mind him 5,100. And then for the power forwards and centers, I think it all comes down to kind of if Jalen Smith is playing. Let me get back to him. I think I skipped over him last time. Yeah, so if Jalen Smith's playing, I do expect him to be kind of limited again, dealing with a few injuries, 20 to 25 minutes. This team is young. They have a ton of bigs. Miles Turner hurt his ankle in pregame warmup, so he's out. If he's out once again, you can definitely look to, I wouldn't say Jalen Smith just because he's injured or just because of that, he's probably going to be limited. If he's playing or if he's out and Miles Turner's out, I really think you need to load up on at least one, if not both, of Isaiah Jackson. Where is he? Right here, 3,800. He only saw 16 minutes. As I said, they have a crowded front court. But he's one of those guys, high usage, high energy, or not high usage, but high energy guy that can get you a ton of rebounds. He can score the ball a good amount if they're throwing him lobs, getting him involved in his matchup against San Antonio. Easy play here, 3,800 if Jalen Smith's ruled out or if Miles Turner is ruled out once again. Terry Taylor, where is he? Right here. He got the starting power forward role. As I said, they have a bunch of power forwards and centers, so it really helps if Miles Turner's out again and if Jalen Smith's out. Do think you want to take a shot on at least one of these small power forwards for the Indiana Pacers, especially in this matchup against the Spurs. And for center, I don't mind Jokic as a spend up, not the Jokic we're used to seeing. Obviously we're used to seeing him, be very efficient from the field, but didn't have those rebounds or assists. So don't mind running it back there if you want to, but as I said, I really don't think you need to pay up past 9K for any studs because there's just so many guys with a huge upside on this slate because of how cheap guys are priced. So I think my favorite play at center is going to be Vooch. Just a ton of usage, ton of upside, third leading big when it came to double-doubles last season. 7,500 is too cheap. He's going to see the minutes. Shooting 5 of 13. I think he was like 2 of 12 going into the fourth quarter, so he wasn't shooting the ball a ton. So they weren't looking to give him the ball, but he has massive upside. Should see closer to 20 shots a game. Once again, Zach LaVine's out. Good shooter. Saw 17 rebounds. It looks like he's really going to step it up this year on the defensive end. Maybe it's just a mirage that first game, but he looks very solid. Way too cheap for Vooch there. I do like Porzingis as well. Both of those bigs, Vooch and Porzingis, good scorers, not the best defenders, but they can get it done. And they're not going to get each other in foul trouble, but they do have that risk of fouling other guards. But like them both a good amount today. As I mentioned, Nurk solid, and then Sengun, as I said, looks okay. It's just he's splitting those minutes. Santi has that power forward center upside. I mentioned, what's his name? Al Horford. And then the last guy I mentioned is going to be Bruno Fernando. Got the start over Sengun. Played 25 minutes. Not a high usage guy, but he can do a little bit of everything. And that's kind of what you want. The guy at 4,400 could easily pay off that price tag. And yeah, guys, that's kind of my core player pool for today. Guys, I really think you guys should be targeting, games you should be targeting, and then just, paying up for a few studs if you want. Really think you can get away with just a mid-range build once again that has enough ceiling to be able to take down this tournament. So if you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.